But today we're going to talk a little bit about time management.
The big challenge that I have is that I work full time, a day job, and I also am raising 2 kids. I co-parent, so I get them every other week. So when I have them, my time is limited just because I want to try to spend some time with them. We have activities, etc. Yeah, just managing all of those little nuggets that go along with just life, a busy life.
But the easiest way to work something into your schedule is to do something you really love to do that has a deadline, where you have to like carve that time out for it, right? Yeah. So it's going to be great market research to understand the work that you want to do with people online. Because the in-person work, it's going to be a different level of intimacy, but you're going to understand the types of people who are attracted to your work. And that's going to give us some information about how to find them in the world and what's going to get them excited to sign with you. And then we can start working on the online business, right? So how many people would need to attend this event for it to be a success?
Yeah, so I want it to be like a 2-month or 10-week kind of thing, and just be a very intimate group of women, so like 6 to 8 women.
Okay.
And it's once a week for about 2 hours.
Okay. So tell me who your ideal client is for this.
It's really just a woman who is definitely moved, here to Costa Rica or has lived here for a while, and has kind of hit a crossroads in her life with feeling that she's still in this gorgeous place and she's still not activated within herself. And she's not feeling connected to herself or a community. So it's really creating a community of women that can support each other in intimate ways. That is really focused around sensuality and sexuality. Really, again, searching and unearthing that authentic self that we were born, that we have been, or that we have been conditioned to not be anymore. So, getting our sexy backs, really, finding that liveliness and joy in life again.
Okay. Do you have any idea where you would want to hold this?
I just started to kind of ask around. So there's a couple of different places that I'm still, I literally just last week was like, okay, I'm going to start this. So this is like definitely on my like heart space of radiating and wanting to grow, So yeah, it definitely needs to be an intimate space that we have, it's, to be quiet, that there can be confidentiality, so nothing else going on, nothing that's too distracting for the group, things like that.
So I don't think there's going to be any lack of places that you can do this. I mean, there are any number of yoga studios in the area that you could easily rent and create that sanctuary. I think the question is just going to be, and I think, again, this is something maybe you can manifest of like, if this is supposed to happen, show me the way, connect me with the person who has the perfect place, right? Whatever you need to do. I think the issue you're going to run into is the same problem you have. Asking someone to take more than 2 hours out of their day because they have to commute, right? So 3 hours out of their week to dedicate to themselves when you're already feeling like you don't have enough time to do what you want to do and to build yourself. So I'm not saying that's going to be your primary objection. I think is that sounds amazing. I want it. I love it. I don't have time.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to make it valuable enough to like, this is the thing that's going to fix your whole fucking life. Right. Like,
yes.
And I could see, especially in a like expat community, there being value, a huge value to here are your people, right? Here are your people who you can really explore a healing intimacy with. I think it might be worth test driving it as a 1-day workshop to gauge interest for a 2-month commitment. And it's something where you could do it a few times, like maybe offer it at a few different yoga studios and different healing centers as like, I do this mini workshop. You can offer it as a gift, like consider it like a mini seminar that you're giving just to get people's email addresses, just to start having a pool of people that you can then draw upon to fill this group. And you'll get more and more clarity each time you do it. But it also just connects you with a place where there's already a hub of people, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing you can do, I don't know how effective this is in somewhere like Costa Rica, but flyering, I don't know if you guys flyer a lot down there, if there are community hubs where like the expats go, like the coffee shop or whatever, where you could just put up this, call for a community gathering. There are probably local Facebook groups where you could advertise this sort of thing, but I would focus it on this like 1-day workshop to start. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I like the idea. Like, I definitely like the idea of like being able to kind of create the buzz and then also, get the email list. The thing that I think, again, going back to like, I'm a new person to all of this, is that even for me to offer like a 2-hour event every week, I sometimes hit a struggle or a roadblock of like, what am I supposed to do in those 2 hours? Like, what are we going to do? So I doing a full day workshop or something. I mean, I guess, I can bring in other individuals to definitely partner with and kind of put something together like that. But yeah, it's sometimes that's also where it kind of gets a little bit like, oh, that's a little bit too much for me in that planning process, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's why it might be interesting to experiment with this 1-day workshop where it's not any longer than it's going to be in reality. It's still just the 2 hours. You don't have to fill up, 6 hours. You think of it more as like a meet and greet, right? And really what you're going to be doing is cherry picking the people who you connect best with and inviting them to this kind of exclusive program from these workshops, so that it'll become your favorite thing, so that it does feel easy to know, like, even if you don't have anything planned, you're going to know what to tell these women. And you have to develop that innate trust within yourself. And I'll give you 2 examples. My friend, my bestie, and my client Devin, she was giving a talk to some teenagers. She's a speech pathologist and she does work around mental health and neurodivergency. And she was giving a speech to some teenagers she was asked to do, and she had no idea what she was going to say. And I was like, you'll just get in front of them and you'll just don't even try to plan anything. Don't even try. This is the kind of coach I am. Just do less. Do less. Get a good night's sleep and meditate. And she stood up in front of these teenagers for 3 hours and she was like, it was the most amazing thing. It went perfect. I connected with everyone in the room. We had major breakthroughs. It was fantastic. And I was like, if you tried to plan anything, it would have taken you out of the moment and it would have, ruined it for everyone. So you're concerned of like, what would I even fill that time up with? You're going to know. You have the tools, right? Tell them to bring a journal. There'll be some journaling time, most likely. Bring some tissues, wear cozy clothes. We'll have a little snack break. We'll break off into groups to connect with each other. We'll do icebreaker games. Like that time flies by so fast. What's going to be hard is like knowing how to hold back and learning how to really manage your time. What I would recommend for your own nerves, if you have to prepare anything, is time it out in 15-minute bursts of bullet points, where it's like, or 5 to 15 minutes. So it's like, first 5 minutes, welcome. Next 10 minutes, icebreaker game. Next 10 minutes, let's do a group share, right? You can, right. So, and the more you practice it, the easier it's going to be to develop that trust in yourself, where you can just show up even though you've done 1,000,001 things that day and you are just squeezing it in and you haven't done any preparation for this week. You're going to show up and they're still going to have an amazing session.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have, I guess what is one time saving tip or habit creating action would you give me? If you want to give me both of those or one or the other?
Yeah. So I have so many. As you know, I have ADHD. I have had to develop systems in order to be successful. So the one-time saving tip, automate wherever you can. Automate how your bills are paid. Automate how your social media runs itself. Automate how you get your laundry done. Anything that doesn't bring you joy in your life, automate it or hire it out. All right. That's my number one tip, especially for parents. You got to hire someone to do it. Or if you have family in town, you tell them to do it out of the goodness of their hearts. maybe you bake them a treat or something. So that's the number one time saving tip. Automate, hire it out. For habit creation, I love a checklist. I have so many different checklists. I have a weekly checklist that's just self-care that I keep on my fridge. That's everything I need to do every day to take really good care of myself. And it's on my fridge because I go to my fridge a lot, because maybe this time there'll be different food. There isn't, but sometimes maybe this will be the time. There's magically an extra Pellegrino in there or something. So I'm constantly looking at my fridge, and now I'm looking at, oh, also I should probably meditate. I should probably go meditate. I have a daily checklist that I make of work stuff, and I have like a weekly and a monthly and a yearly checklist that I keep, all over the place. For me, my checklists are always a work in progress, because I'm always waking up in a new brain. Who knows what kind of brain I'm going to have today? Who knows what these hormones are doing in here? So I leave a lot of time, and this is going to feel like the antithesis to time management, but I leave a lot of time for puttering, by which I mean, I don't schedule anything. I know I'm going to maybe get some stuff done. Like this morning's puttering, like I cleans, I swept and I mopped. And that's also a list that I have, is like, what do I have to clean each week? If I don't have a list, I'm not going to do it. So what was I saying? Making space, doing less.
Like the puttering, just like leaving
Puttering.
space.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And letting that time be really sacred, in terms of, I have no expectations of productivity. I need that every day. No expectations of productivity. If my puttering time is sitting and staring at social media for 2 hours, so be it. If it's working in my garden for 2 hours, great. If it's going for a bike ride, great. But it's my time to like really check in with my body, of like, what do we want to do right now? We can do anything. What feels like it's going to light me up the most? And then I have about 2 hours dedicated to exercise and 2 hours dedicated to my business on any given day, 2 to 4 hours. But most of my day is spent taking care of myself, from that really deep place where even like sweeping my home becomes a meditation, right? So to create the habit, you have to learn how to enjoy everything. And so you have to come at it with this mindfulness of like, how am I going to make this fun? Am I going to put on my podcast and listen to an entertaining podcast while I get into all the nooks and crannies of my home? But yeah, checklists, find a system that works for you. And sometimes I'll even do like an hour, if I have 2 hours, but I'm not sure how to spend it, I'll like write down everything I could possibly do. Here's my other trick for habit creation. Write down how long you think it's gonna take you to do any particular thing. Do this as an exercise for a couple of days, and then see how long it actually takes. Because then you'll learn, like, oh yeah, it doesn't take an hour to change the sheets, even though it feels like it. It only takes literally a minute and a half. I can handle it. I can handle this for a minute and a half, and I'm going to be so grateful for it. Future Morgan's going to be thrilled out of her mind. But you might also be surprised of, like, wow, yeah, it really does take me an hour to do this social media content, right? Or to get around to writing this email that I promised myself I was going to write that feels awkward. So I'm going to distract myself so I don't do it. So turning in that inner witness, that self-study, that svadisyaya, as we say in the yoga worlds, will help you learn where your habits already exist and where you want to make those shifts. And wherever you need to make shifts, that's what you need to put on a list. The list is aspirational. And it's a constant act of self-forgiveness when you don't hit everything on the list. It's an observation tool, not a flagellation tool.
Yeah, no, I like that. And actually that reminds me, a few weeks ago, I felt like my to-do list was so long. And so I wrote it all out, and then I dedicated time. But as I did something, even if it wasn't on the list, I wrote it down on another list. So at the end of that time, I looked to see what I had marked off my to-do list, but also what I had done. So I made like a done list, and I was like, this list is so long. Like I felt like I didn't do that much, but I really did, but it was just because of that, like that sense of accomplishment that like there was a list of some sort, and it shows what you got done. So I love that.
Yeah, that is such a beautiful bonus tip of, like, yeah, write down what you've already done, because we do so much more in a day than we give ourselves credit for. I mean, if you just wrote down every dish that you washed in a day, like, it would be pages long. Of course, you can always hire me to help you build stuff like this. We break down these big goals into really practical, step-by-step plans so that you can achieve these big goals in no time, and also make a lot of money doing it, because you deserve it. You got to make some money when you're doing this kind of work in the world. It's just how it works in patriarchal capitalism. While the patriarchal crumbles, we use money as a tool, and we accept it, as well as trades. I also love to accept trades for my services as well. So something to consider as you're building your own courses, working on a sliding scale to work with multiple communities, and working on a trade basis as well can help expand your community. Last little business coaching tip for you there.